Okay, news of the day. Now, we're going to start things off with Toronto Maple Leafs news because Andreas Johnsson's been placed on long-term injured reserve. We don't know for how long. He got a leg injury in their last game, blocking a shot. And that's all we know. Now, with him on long-term injured reserve, that pulls him off the cap. If he's just injured, just night to night, healthy scratch, the cap money's still there, and you can't call anybody up. Toronto would have absolutely no space. I think Cap Friendly said they had 40 grand in space approximately, so that won't get you anything. Patan, Aberg, and Morenson have all been recalled as a result of him being placed on long-term injured reserve. So in a way, Johnsson getting injured is the best thing that could happen to Toronto, I guess. They can keep a full team on the ice. They could even have an extra or two. And we'll see how this turns out. Really, in all honesty, Kyle Dubas is going to have to make a trade to make more space. He's going to have to. And I'm not sure who you trade, and I'm not sure what you look to get back, but he needs at least a little bit of breathing room. Chicago's in that same problem, or in that same situation, I should say. And some of these teams, they just don't have any breathing room at all. And again, no pity on them because everybody's playing under the exact same cap. It's a lack of foresight. And for Toronto, it's something that needs to be resolved because right now they're not a playoff team and they have no cap space. And I've always said that's kind of a lethal combination right there because the cap space at least allows you to make improvements. But no. Montreal news, Jesperi Kotkaniemi has a concussion. Anybody who saw that hit last night knows that, that was a Zadorov hit. And I said, he has a history. Now, is it one of suspension and one of fines? No. But if we talked about him and hits he's thrown before, absolutely. Is he a guy that fans have said, oh, that's just... Now, again, we haven't heard anything from player safety, so odds are nothing's going to happen coming out of that hit. Claude Julien said last night after the game he felt it was suspendable, which is standard. Your coaches are going to take the side of whoever's wearing their jersey. That's pretty standard. But it was a rough hit. And Zadorov's a guy who... One thing I used to say about Bertuzzi when he played for the Canucks was I didn't think that he understood just how big he was. There were times where he would throw hits and then just kind of skate away from a guy and be like, he's in a heap there, Todd. You didn't have to hit him that hard. And I always kind of had this feeling that he didn't know his own strength. And with Zadorov, sometimes I get that feeling with him too. So I understand that there's apparently not going to be any discussion of or any kind of meeting about what happened with this hit. But I can also understand Montreal management being upset about it and the idea that Kotkaniemi was already having a miserable enough season. Now he's injured. And with a concussion, you have no idea how long that might take. This is why when they say it's a concussion, he's going to be out a couple of weeks, I'm like, it's a concussion. You don't know. It's just that's one of those things where it's really open-ended. Unless the player is symptom-free and you're just saying, all right, well, we have to keep him out of the next game, but he'll be back in the one following. Fine, but in general, if he's still got symptoms, there's not much we know about it. It's a mysterious kind of injury. Brent Sopel's come out in defense of Mark Crawford. Mark Crawford is still, as far as I can tell, on suspension from Chicago while they look into accusations about his conduct behind the bench, including kicking players and this kind of thing. Sopel's story was shared with, I believe, Spitting Chicklets is where that one came out, and I believe it was about a year ago. And so now we've got a situation where players have been talking about coaches for years, and once a coach is mentioned, people look through all this old stuff. Oh, hey, this guy made a complaint too. So you get people coming out and going, oh, who's Sopel? He's a bum. He should keep his mouth shut. When in reality, he wasn't saying things to try to get Crawford in trouble. He was just sharing stories and being entertaining, and that's what he said in a statement he released yesterday. And I really think that while there are certain instances where we can look back and say, okay, that's not acceptable, I think things are going to get crazy if a guy comes out with this story a year ago and no waves are made at the time, and then a year later we go, okay, now we're upset about this story. Now, that's where I kind of have a disconnect with it. because we've known for years how coaches can behave. The kicking punching thing, that was news to me. I didn't know about that either up until all this stuff started coming out with Peters. Now it's coming out all over the place. But again, Brent Sopel played for Crawford for a long time, likes Mark Crawford, and thought he was a good coach as well when he was coached by him. So a lot of what we're seeing right now is media driven. And that's the reality of a lot of this media driven. This is not players coming out and demanding firings and that kind of thing. Not really. Really isn't. This is a lot of this is media driven, and we'll see where it ends up. Thornton last night drew a lot of ire from Carolina fans and definitely from the Carolina announcers for his punch on Mrazek. Now, here's the thing. I've seen the term sucker punch for it, but here's the problem that I have with calling it a sucker punch. So on the way past the goal, I think Thornton takes kind of a swipe at the puck that Mrazek's got. So Mrazek decides he doesn't like that. So Mrazek wildly swung his stick in the direction of Joe Thornton. Then he gets up and gets right in Thornton's face. So Thornton punched him and knocked him down pretty good. And then, of course, the scrum ensues. If a guy swings his stick at somebody else that wildly like that and gets up in the guy's face, you have to think you might get punched. The funniest part to me was when Carolina announcer said you wouldn't expect that from Joe Thornton. Well, then you haven't been watching Joe Thornton the last couple of years, because as he's got older, there's a bit of an ornery old guy there that, he doesn't take any crap. The gentleman Joe is not a thing right now, and, you swing your stick at him like that. If that stick had connected, we'd be having a whole different discussion with Peter Mrazek right now. So again, he got up in Thornton's face and Thornton punched him. Does it qualify as a sucker punch? To me, it doesn't. To me, a sucker punch is you're skating around the ice and a guy just drills you, right? Or you get into a little bit of a scrum, maybe the referee's holding onto you, and while you're being held, sucker punch. Those are, to me, getting up in a guy's face and then the guy being like, you just swung your stick at me, here you go. To me, that's not a sucker punch. So, again, and this is how the hockey's done now, where we discuss every punch because there's all the replays from 15 different angles. Mrazek probably shouldn't have got up in his face. And anybody that thinks, well, Joe Thornton's not going to swing at a guy, you haven't been paying much attention over the last couple of years. Absolutely he will. And in that case, a guy swings a stick at you like that, you got to think, all right, so he's trying to take the feet out from under me. That could end my career. For Thornton, in his 40s, that could end his career if that connects with the back of his knees. So, that was an ugly play, but I thought the stick swing was equally ugly. So, that's what ends up happening. Don't swing your stick at somebody like that unless you're willing to answer for it. It's a conversation I've had in this house, the kids' hockey that they play. There was an incident just a couple days ago, on Wednesday, a couple days ago, where I told one of the kids here, you do that, you got to be ready to answer for it. Next time you do that to somebody, somebody's going to, because it was stick work. And I said, you stick somebody in the face like that, you better be ready to drop the gloves. Because I even said, if this wasn't just a fun homeschool hockey, if this was like an actual organized hockey situation, you would have had to drop the gloves. So, if you swing your stick like that, maybe skate the other way from Joe Thornton. Don't get up in his face. Taylor Hall talk is everywhere, so I'm just going to tell you guys in this video right now, nobody knows where he's going. Nobody knows where he's going. Nobody knows what Shiro's asking for. Nobody knows what's going on other than, hey, when we talk about Taylor Hall, people come watch our videos, people come and listen to what we have to say, and it's on TSN, it's on Sportsnet, it's everywhere. Where's Taylor Hall going to go? What are they going to get for Taylor Hall? And I'm serious, nobody knows. Bob McKenzie, who to me is the most connected of the quote insiders, has said nobody really knows what Shiro's going to do, because Shiro, he's been very, very kind of cloak and dagger about it. Like, he may take a 1-for-1 deal. He may take your standard prospect, draft pick, and a player. He may take something else. It may be a completely different deal. We have no idea. And we have no idea of when either. Does he wait till the deadline or does he do it now? So we're going to hear endless Taylor Hall speculation, but anybody who says, well, I know where he's going, and then they put up a chart and go, well, see, clearly it's Colorado because they have all the cap space and they need a winger. Colorado doesn't need a winger in my eyes. They're the top scoring team in the league. Why? Oh, Bowen Byram. Why in the world do you give up Bowen Byram, who's going to be a fantastic defenseman, to play with Makar, and they're going to be on entry-level contracts next to one another, to bring up Taylor Hall, who's going to cost you probably $10 million in the offseason? Like, I don't understand the idea that, well, they have cap space, so clearly that's not how. Don't do that. Because if you bring in Taylor Hall and you send him to $10 million, you may not be able to keep all of your team together, because Makar's going to need to get paid. And I'm thinking a Brinks truck and a half for Cale Makar with how he's playing in his rookie year. You've got to think ahead. And so far, Sakic has shown he's thinking ahead. The Tyson Barrie trade this past summer was him thinking ahead. Like, I'm not going to be able to keep Barrie next year, so I'm going to trade him out. Now that we've got Byram in the pipeline, we can afford to trade out Barrie because Byram's going to be ready this year or next. I can't see him becoming short-sighted all of a sudden going, okay, so Byram, who we had offers for that draft pick, we could have got something great for him. We're going to keep him. No, we're not. No, now we're going to trade him, and we're going to trade him for potentially a rental. Nobody knows where he's going or when. No idea. And I think he'll go somewhere completely unpredictable. So, yeah, I know everybody will speculate. It's just going to be speculation season. That always drives me insane. These guys almost never go to the team you think they're going to go to. Almost never. Mark Stahl returns tonight for the Rangers, and repairing something I did in the preview. I don't know why I didn't have Panarin on the list of top scorers. I guess I decided it's no Artemi day. So we'll see if he gets a point tonight or not. Maybe I'm predicting he won't. Maybe I'm predicting we're just not going to have an Artemi day. Is that a thing? I guess maybe now it can be. But Mark Stahl returns tonight, which is good because it looks like Hayek's going to be out, so he'll replace Hayek in the lineup. Stahl's been out for almost a month, so nice to see him coming back. And if you're a Flames fan, it's official. So we knew this was coming, that with the new building, the team has signed a 35-year deal with the city. So the Calgary Flames are going to be staying in Calgary for a minimum of the next 35 years. They're not going anywhere ever. So this is good news that after a couple of years of speculation that if they didn't get a new building, as soon as that new building is agreed upon, they sign a deal with the team or with the city. And now the city's talking about rejuvenating downtown and what they're going to do, and it's going to be right next to the Stampede, and how they're going to be able to help each other. So yeah, this is good news for the Flames, for their fans, and for hockey in Canada, because NHL teams in Canada, you always get the feeling like, other than Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, that there's the possibility, right? You've got Ottawa, where ownership every now and then will be like, I could move the team. Oh, no, I didn't say that. Edmonton, before they got the new building, there was always discussions of how viable that team was. I think after the loss of Quebec and Winnipeg initially, I think there's always going to be that, is Winnipeg big enough sort of mentality. And I know Winnipeg is, and I know Winnipeg sells out, but that's always going to be there. So it's nice to see that Calgary won't have that cloud over them. And who knows, maybe they can win something along the way too. So, I mean, it's 35 years, so odds are they win a Stanley Cup. Canada should get a Stanley Cup over the next 35 years, I would think. But if you told me back in 93, hey, this is the last Stanley Cup Canada's going to get until at least 2020, I would have said you were crazy. So, we'll see how things go for the Flames and for teams, I guess, in Canada in general. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.